why I was a terrible polygamist, because I could like just sit down and shut up. I couldn't ever do that. I couldn't ever just do that with these wives and just...
Sister Wives, TLC's hidden footage exposed, hold everything. TLC just got exposed for cutting 17 minutes from Sister Wives episode 10, and what they're hiding is absolutely insane. We're talking deleted fights, financial bombshells, and footage that completely rewrites this family's entire story. The editors tried to bury the truth, but we're about to dig it all up. What you're about to hear will make you question every single episode you've ever watched. Let me ask you something. Have you been watching Sister Wives this season feeling like something's just not adding up? Like there are gaps in the story, missing conversations, or moments that feel edited within an inch of their life? Well, congratulations, because your gut instinct was spot on correct. Episode 10 was supposed to be a full 60-minute event, but when it aired, viewers got barely 43 minutes of actual content after commercials. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's normal for TV, right? Wrong. Because production insiders have now confirmed that 17 full minutes of crucial footage was deliberately cut from this episode. And what they removed is absolutely explosive. We're not talking about boring filler content here. We're not talking about repetitive establishing shots or unnecessary B-roll footage. We're talking about confrontations, revelations, and truth bombs that would have fundamentally changed how you understand this entire family dynamic. So buckle up, because we're about to expose exactly what TLC doesn't want you to know, why they cut it, and what it means for everything you think you understand about the Brown family breakdown. The Kody and Robyn footage that disappeared, let's dive straight into the biggest deletion. And trust me, this one is a doozy. Nearly 6 full minutes of a conversation between Kody and Robyn ended up on the cutting room floor. And according to multiple sources connected to the production, this wasn't just another one of their usual discussions. This was Robyn actually challenging Kody on his narrative. Let that sink in for a second. Robyn, who has been portrayed all season as Kody's yes woman, his favorite wife who never questions him, was apparently pushing back hard on his version of events. In the deleted footage, Robyn reportedly brings up specific timeline inconsistencies in Kody's story about when the family started falling apart. She questions his decisions, his priorities, and his treatment of the other wives. She mentions particular incidents where Kody's choices directly led to Christine, Janelle, and even Meri pulling away from the family. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Sources say Robyn actually defended some of the other wives' positions in this conversation. She acknowledged that Kody's behavior contributed to the breakdown. She validated feelings that Kody has been dismissing all season long. So why on earth would TLC cut this content? It's dramatic, it's revealing, it shows conflict even in the golden couple relationship. Shouldn't that be exactly what they want to air? Here's the problem. It completely destroys the narrative they've been building. TLC has spent this entire season positioning Robyn as the oblivious favorite, the wife who benefits from Kody's bias without acknowledging it. They need her to be either complicit or clueless to maintain the storyline. But this deleted footage shows Robyn as self-aware, critical of Kody, and sympathetic to the other wives. It humanizes her in ways that don't fit the villain edit. It suggests she's been more aware of the family's problems than the show has indicated. And most dangerously for TLC's narrative, it makes Kody look even worse because now his own favorite wife is calling out his behavior. The network made a calculated decision. Keep Robyn as a simplified character, maintain the clear hero-villain dynamics, and protect the storyline they've invested 15 seasons building. Janelle's financial truth bomb, now we're getting into the really juicy stuff. Hold on to your seats, because this deletion is potentially lawsuit territory explosive. Approximately 4 minutes of Janelle having a detailed conversation with several of her adult children about the family's finances got completely scrapped from the final edit. And we're not talking vague references to money problems. We're talking specific numbers, property details, and financial receipts spanning decades. According to insiders who've seen the footage, Janelle laid it all out. She discussed her career earnings over the years, how much she contributed to the family pot, and where that money actually went. She talked about property purchases, whose names appeared on titles, and how financial decisions were made within the plural family structure. This scene reportedly included Janelle showing documents to her kids. Actual paperwork. She walked them through investments, explained who paid for what, and revealed the financial imbalance that existed behind the scenes of their equal partnership, plural marriage. The reaction from her children was apparently visceral. Sources describe visible shock, anger, and hurt as they learned details about their mother's financial contributions and sacrifices that they hadn't fully understood before. One particularly powerful moment that got cut allegedly involved Janelle breaking down while explaining how she often went without so that resources could be directed elsewhere in the family. She talked about career sacrifices, about putting her own needs last, about decades of financial decisions that prioritized the collective over her individual security. So why would TLC absolutely bury this content? This is the behind-the-scenes information fans have been desperately wanting for years. This is the reality behind the reality show. Here's the issue. Once you put real numbers to plural marriage, once you show actual financial documentation, once you reveal the economic reality of how this family operated, you open up massive cans of worms. First, there are potential legal implications. If financial inequity or impropriety is revealed on camera, that could trigger investigations, lawsuits, or other legal scrutiny that TLC absolutely does not want associated with their show. Second, it completely demolishes the romantic notion of plural marriage that the show has been selling. You can't maintain the fantasy of we're all equal partners in this when one wife is showing receipts that prove otherwise. Third, it would force viewers to confront the uncomfortable economic reality that often underlies plural marriage arrangements. This isn't about religion or love anymore. It's about money, property, and financial control. That's not the story TLC wants to tell. Christine's therapy confessional this next deletion is going to make you angry, and rightfully so. About 3.5 minutes of Christine's confessional interview got completely removed, and what she was discussing was absolutely crucial for understanding her journey. In the full footage, Christine apparently goes deep into her therapy experience and what she learned about manipulation, gaslighting, and emotional abuse. She doesn't just speak generally, she gets specific. She names patterns of behavior, describes particular tactics that were used in her marriage, and explains how certain situations were designed to make her question her own perception of reality. This is Christine finally putting words to experiences that many viewers have recognized, but that she's never been able to fully articulate on camera before. She talks about feeling crazy, about being told her feelings were wrong, about having her reality constantly contradicted by someone she trusted. Sources say Christine discussed specific examples from her marriage to Kody, walking through how certain arguments would unfold, how her concerns would be dismissed or turned back on her, and how she was made to feel like the problem whenever she expressed unhappiness. She also reportedly talked about conversations she had with the other wives years ago about their shared experiences, suggesting that all of them were dealing with similar dynamics, but didn't have the language or framework to understand what was happening. The confessional allegedly ended with Christine expressing relief that she can now name these behaviors for what they were, and hope that sharing her experience might help others recognize similar patterns in their own relationships. So why did TLC cut this incredibly powerful, educational, and relevant content? Because naming manipulation tactics specifically transforms the show from entertainment into something much more serious. It turns Kody from a reality TV character into someone displaying abusive behaviors. It changes the narrative from complicated family drama to woman escaping harmful relationship. Networks are terrified of that kind of content because it comes with responsibility and potential liability. If Christine names gaslighting techniques on camera, and viewers at home recognize those same techniques in their own lives, suddenly the show isn't just drama, it's a resource for understanding abuse. That's not what TLC signed up for. Additionally, being that explicit about manipulation could open TLC up to accusations that they've been documenting and profiting from emotional abuse for years. It raises some uncomfortable questions about the ethics of continuing to film a family situation that includes these dynamics. So they cut it. They remove Christine's most articulate, most powerful explanation of what she experienced and why she left. They silenced her truth because it was too true, too clear, and too uncomfortable. Meri's Meri also reportedly talked about how financial independence changed her self-perception. She went from seeing herself as someone who needed to be part of this family to survive, to seeing herself as a successful businesswoman who was choosing whether or not to maintain these relationships. This is transformative content that shows Meri's complete evolution from dependent plural wife to independent entrepreneur. It's inspiring, it's empowering, and it completely contradicts the narrative TLC has been pushing. Because here's how the show has portrayed Meri. Sad, somewhat pathetic, still pining for Kody, unable to move on, kind of tragic. She's been edited to seem like she's hanging on to this family because she has nowhere else to go. But this deleted footage shows a completely different woman. It shows someone who built something impressive, who generates significant income, who has power and options and agency. It shows Meri as someone who could walk away whenever she wants, but is making conscious choices about her relationships. TLC cut this because they need Meri to fit a certain role in their narrative. They need her to be the cautionary tale, the wife who stayed too long, the woman who can't quite break free. Showing her as powerful and successful and independent doesn't serve that story. The ghost moments in what aired now, let's talk about something you might not have noticed unless you were watching very carefully. In the episode that did air, there are dozens of what I call ghost moments, reactions to statements we never heard, responses to questions that got cut, emotional beats that don't have context. Watch the episode again and you'll see it. Someone looks shocked, but we didn't hear what shocked them. Someone starts crying, but the statement that triggered those tears is missing. Someone responds with anger or defensiveness to something that apparently got edited out. These ghost moments are breadcrumbs that lead us to all the missing content. Every time you see a reaction without a cause, that's evidence of a deletion. Every abrupt transition, every conversation that seems to start mid-thought, every emotion that appears without explanation, that's a signpost pointing to the footage that TLC doesn't want you to see. When you add up all these little cuts, all these missing beats, all these removed moments, you realize you're not watching the real story. You're watching a carefully constructed version of the story that serves TLC's narrative goals. Why this matters more than just reality TV, some of you might be thinking. It's reality TV. Everyone knows it's edited. What's the big deal? And I hear you, but let me explain why this matters more than you might think. First, these aren't just real people. They're people who have built their public personas and careers on this show. What TLC chooses to show or hide directly impacts how these people are perceived by millions of viewers. Robyn faces hatred partially because the show hides her moments of self-awareness. Meri is pitted partially because the show hides her success and independence. That's not fair to them as human beings. Second, Sister Wives has positioned itself as educational programming about plural marriage. It's not just entertainment, it's supposedly giving viewers insight into this lifestyle. But if they're hiding the financial reality, the emotional manipulation, and the next generation's rejection of the lifestyle, they're not educating anyone. They're creating propaganda. Third, there are real viewers out there who might be in similar situations, who might be experiencing similar dynamics in their own relationships or families. When TLC cuts Christine's discussion of manipulation tactics, they're not just editing a TV show. They're removing content that could help someone recognize what's happening in their own life. Fourth, this level of narrative control raises serious ethical questions about reality television as a genre. If networks can disappear 17 minutes of truth to serve a storyline, if they can hide financial impropriety or emotional abuse to maintain drama, if they can silence the most affected voices to protect their premise, are we watching reality? Or are we watching fiction performed by real people? What else are they hiding? Here's the question that should keep you up at night. If episode 10 lost 17 minutes, what about every other episode? What about the other seasons? What crucial conversations, what important revelations, what humanizing moments have been systematically removed over 15 years to maintain TLC's preferred narrative? Think about every major event in this family's history that we've watched unfold on screen. The commitment ceremony drama, the moves between states, the catfishing situation, Meri and Kody's separation, Christine's decision to leave, Janelle's wavering. Every single one of these storylines has been filtered through TLC's editing and production choices. How much of what we think we know is actually true? How much is constructed narrative? How many deleted scenes would change our understanding of these people and their relationships? We'll probably never know the full extent of what's been hidden from viewers over the years. But now that we know about these 17 minutes, we can't unknow it. We can't unsee the evidence that TLC is actively shaping our perception of this family in ways that serve drama over truth. The financial angle we're not discussing. Let's talk about something that doesn't get enough attention. TLC makes money from this family's dysfunction. The more drama, the more conflict, the more explosive the breakdown, the better the ratings and the higher the profits. So when TLC cuts footage that would help viewers understand the family situation more completely, when they hide financial details or remove nuanced conversations, they're not just making editorial decisions. They're protecting their investment. A fully contextualized, completely honest portrayal of this family might be less dramatic. It might generate more sympathy for people viewers currently dislike. It might make the situation feel more sad than sensational, and that might not be as profitable. The network has a financial incentive to keep you watching, to keep you outraged, to keep you picking sides and arguing in comment sections. They don't have a financial incentive to give you the complete truth. Those 17 deleted minutes probably made the family situation more understandable, more human, more complex. But complex doesn't generate hate watches. Complex doesn't create viral clips. Complex doesn't drive the engagement metrics that translate to advertising dollars. The pattern across reality TV sister wives isn't unique in this. This kind of manipulative editing happens across reality television. Producers create villains by cutting context. They manufacture love stories by hiding problems. They construct entire narratives that bear only passing resemblance to what actually happened during filming. But Sister Wives feels particularly egregious because it's documenting real family breakdown, real relationship dissolution, real emotional trauma. These aren't strangers on a dating show or competitors on a game show. These are real people with real children navigating genuine pain, and that pain is being edited and shaped and packaged for our entertainment. When you cut financial revelations from Janelle, you're not just editing a TV show, you're potentially hiding economic abuse. When you remove Christine's discussion of manipulation, you're not just tightening a narrative, you're silencing an abuse survivor. When you delete the children's honest assessment, you're not just cutting for time, you're erasing the voices of the most vulnerable people in this situation. That crosses a line from entertainment into exploitation, and viewers deserve to know when they're being manipulated by the very show that's supposedly documenting someone else's manipulation. Those 17 missing minutes from episode 10 represent more than just deleted footage. They represent deleted truth, hidden reality, and buried context that would have fundamentally changed how we understand this family. TLC made deliberate choices about what story they wanted to tell, and in doing so, they erased parts of the story that actually happened. They protected their narrative at the expense of honesty. They chose drama over truth. Now that we know this footage exists somewhere, cut and filed away, it's impossible to watch the show the same way. Every episode becomes a question. What aren't they showing us? Every confession becomes suspect. What did they say that got removed? Every dramatic moment becomes filtered. What context are we missing? The Brown family's real story is more complicated, more nuanced, and more human than what makes it to our screens. And until TLC decides to prioritize truth over ratings, we'll never see it. The question isn't just what they hid in episode 10. The question is, what else are they hiding? And when will viewers finally get the full, unedited truth? What do you think TLC is hiding? Drop your theories in the comments. Like this video if you're tired of TLC's manipulation. Subscribe for more Sister Wives truth bombs. Share to expose what TLC doesn't want you to know.